All right, welcome to Align Trading. Taking a look here at Friday's SPY recap, and then we will go into what to be watching next week. So, first thing here on Friday in the pre market brief for Discord members, I explained that you have to be watching for the breakdown with this gap that we had right here. You can see we opened with this possible head and shoulders to close below that low. You see that rejection, right? Could not get above, and there is this move to the downside as we continue to close this larger inverse cup. Now, this area right here was a very key level, right at this 585. As I explained, we need to be above that if there is going to be some sort of rally. So if we did want to regain that 5-day moving average and see some sort of move out of this tapering yellow and the blue. Now, along with that gap down, as I talked about, we want to be seeing this orange selling continuation that has been bringing us down all week. You have to be paying attention to this, even if we start the algo from there. This is that same orange selling continuation, and then when we break out, get that move to the upside. But again, here comes that same orange selling continuation, and we will talk about if this continues into tomorrow. So now here on the 1-minute chart, taking a look at the microstructure and algorithms, you can see here in the morning, we initially have this yellow and blue algorithm. So if you are looking for a move to the upside, as we talked about, you need to be above this level right here. And we are struggling to hold that. You see how eventually this turns to resistance, and you would need to see this blue algo. So with being unable to break out of this yellow or blue algo, you can also see this head and shoulder that starts to form, which is the first trade there. And then again, we see this pink and white algo continuing to take us down. I personally was not in for this trade right here. I explained that it was consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. and there is this big move down that started from that. Now, I personally was not in for it. It is okay if you miss that move as well, because not only with this yellow tapering and inverse head and shoulder that we see starting to form right there and getting back into that blue algo, I talked about how we could see this retracement and we would want to stay below these lows. Otherwise, we could start to see that rally back up. But there is that rejection once again and another head and shoulder, which you can also see right here that starts to form within this white. And then there is that tapering, beautiful inverse cup. And you see how this handle continues to work on the way down right here. With this inverse cup that closed back at the low right here, I explained that you have to still be watching for this handle if it wants to form with another head and shoulder, which we do. Again, another inverse cup. You see that handle, slight move, but just no real follow through. And we will talk about this more in a second, kind of what was going on here, how you can see this. But I did explain that if you are looking for this inverse head and shoulder, you need to form this and need to be able to break above this level right here. You can see it tried to form that inverse head and shoulder, but there is no follow through and we do not get to close this cup back at this level, which does end up happening here in a second. But again, we have to talk about what is going on right here first, and you can see it on the 30-minute chart. Notice this decrease in volume. There is no sellers following through right here. You can also see the volume has declined. We are not seeing those sellers picking back up any more aggression like they were right here at these lows. So paying attention to that, you can also see how we have this tapering, that is starting to form within this blue if we want to continue, but there is that tapering that I talked about right here, and to be paying attention if this does want to form. Now around here is where I called it a day as well. I was talking about how I wanted one more push with the last of my runners right here, was looking for it to form within this pink algo, but it did not, and I was stopped out on that final position back above this level right here, and I called it a day. Now, yes, we did end up having a rally, and breaking out of that tapering, but this just was not my trade. I had just called it for the Friday, but you can see how we continue working our way up with this blue controlled selling right here, closing these levels, and then there's that inverse cup once again, another level, blue controlled selling, and you see how we get this continuation, and then we do reach this next level right here as well, which we are unable to get above. We finally start to see some sellers pick back up again. I just wanted to show something on the 30-minute chart as well. The reason that we even got that bounce in the first place, like I talked about with this yellow and blue tapering here, we need to see the orange selling continuation. Otherwise, we can start to see that move back up. So with the seller starting to pick back up again, and remember the volume that I talked about here, notice the increase in sellers. There is that head and shoulder. Talked about, watch if this cup wants to form right here, and we start forming that on the way down. We needed this initial move up, and there you see how it grabs that liquidity. You even have that inverse cup and shoulder for the rejection. Another level, you see that handle forms again. Then the white and pink, another inverse cup, head and shoulder. You see how it continues on the way down. Another algo right there, a little messier, but we try and close this cup back to this support level. Don't quite reach the low of day, as we do run out of time right here to see if there is any continuation. But now it is time to go over what to be watching into Monday and the rest of next week. So with that rally being met by sellers once again and currently in this orange selling continuation, we need to see these lows remain as a resistance, closing that inverse cup like we talked about. Just came short here end of day on Friday. So we need to see those lows turn into resistance, similar like Friday morning here, and then maybe we get more continuation towards this gap. If I pull up this gap detector, you can see where that is right here, and that will be the next level. Now, if we lose the gap, you will be looking at probably a move towards here. Another thing here with the daily chart to pay attention to, as you can tell that we have now rejected this 20-day moving average twice. The last time that happened, let me show you what came from it. Back in August right here, July, August, you see how we have two projections of that 20 MA. We lose the 5, and here is that downtrend. You see we are in a similar spot, with that 5-day as resistance now, close to this bottom Bollinger. So if we do want to trend down now, be paying attention, watch for this 5-day to trend with it, and we could see this inverse cup close like I talked about, or if we find some support at this gap and want to grab this liquidity back to the upside with some sort of inverse head and shoulder. I also want to point out that this 200 daily moving average is down here as well. So in the case that we close this inverse cup and we start to see some handle, be paying attention if we do want to look for some sort of visit right here within the next month or so. I headed back to the 30-minute chart here to talk about a bullish scenario. What we would have to see happen, is at this gap down here, we need to be seeing some sort of recovery like this, back inside of this yellow controlled selling algo if we are building this liquidity to eventually break out. And then ultimately, for the final confirmation, we need to see us regain this 5-day and this liquidity back above right here. So if you did start to see something like this, pay attention and also recognize the yellow algo right here as well. I'm just zooming out some more so you can see what I'm talking about. We see this gap down here, If we do hold that, pay attention, as this can be some sort of large flag that is building, but like I talked about, gotta be breaking out of this yellow and some sort of move like that, regaining the 5-day. But you can see how much liquidity we have built within here. And then even up here, right, we still have all of that liquidity towards 600. Now we have liquidity below this gap as well to the downside for that inverse cup to close. The final thing here is on Wednesday, we have CPI as well as jobless on Thursday, so pay attention to those. Other than that, though, have a good rest of your day, and I will see members in the morning.